Have you ever caught a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and thought, wow, who is that? I look much older than I feel. Or maybe, like me, you've had a birthday that's made you pause and rethink your entire self image. If so, this is the episode for you. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Be Well Sis podcast. I am your host, Dr. Cassandra Dunbar. How has life been treating you? But more importantly, how have you been treating yourself? Me, I've been all right. And honestly, the thought about aging has been something that I've been thinking a lot about. If you are watching on YouTube, hello and welcome. We are rather new to the YouTube space and we're trying to get to our first 500 subscribers. As of right now, we have like 195. So we have some ways to go, but I believe in y'all. So go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It is 100% free, y'all. All these things are free. And it's just your way of showing support and let us know that you are enjoying the content and want more. So now that that is out of the way, let us hop into today's conversation. We live in a society that is obsessed with anti aging, whether it's skincare, lotions, potions, supplements, or treatments that promise to reverse the clock. We are constantly being sold to. But the thing is that the opposite of aging is actually death. If all goes well, we live to see another day, another month, and another year. And there's just so much beauty in that in of itself. I love seeing how many more women are embracing their gray hair, owning that their beauty is evolving and rejecting the idea that aging is something that needs to be, quote, fixed. But I also understand why aging can feel very complicated. It's not just about the fine lines or the other physical changes, it's about what aging actually represents. For a lot of us, it's a reminder that our mortality, of our time passing, and of what we used to be. When I was turning 40, I had a harder time than I let myself admit. I brushed it off, but when I really finally sat with it, I realized how much it impacted my self image, how I saw myself in the world, what I thought I should have accomplished by now, and what this next phase of life means for me. So today we're talking about aging and not in a way that we're trying to fight it, but in a way that allows us to understand it, embrace it, and preserve ourselves in the best way possible. Because aging isn't the enemy, it's a privilege. And when we approach it with knowledge and intention, we can step into it with much more confidence and power. So, the global anti aging market is worth billions of dollars. From retinol to Botox to red light therapy lamps and so many other medical treatments, people are investing big bucks to stay youthful. Celebrities and influencers are pushing, quote, ageless beauty, but we rarely talk about the actual science of aging itself. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a commercial celebrating wrinkles or gray hair? We're constantly told that looking younger equals better. But why? And what's actually happening beneath the surface as we age. But before we dive into what actually works, let's address some of the biggest myths we've been told about aging. Because a lot of what we think we know is actually not true. For example, you've probably heard that your metabolism slows down as soon as you hit 30, or that aging is purely genetic and that there's nothing you can do about it. But is that the actual case? Let's break down what the science is and what we've just been told to believe. So, the first myth is that your metabolism dramatically slows down automatically as you age. The reality is that it's not just aging, it's muscle loss and lifestyle changes that slow the metabolism. Study shows that metabolism only slightly decreases over time, and what actually makes the biggest impact is losing muscle mass and being less active. One of the things that I love on social media is watching videos of women who are older than me who are giving advice to women who are my age and younger. And one thing that is it's common in women that I admire is that they say it is super important to start strength training sooner rather than later and to stay consistent with it. And yeah, the science actually backs that. The idea that your metabolism just tanks at 30 is so misleading. It's actually our lifestyle that changes. As we move less, we build less muscle. And if we eat the same way that we ate in our 20s and earlier, combine that with the hormonal shifts that are happening, of course, our metabolism is going to be affected. And it's going to be reflected in how we look, how we present. The second myth is that aging is completely genetic. The reality is that, yes, genetics do play a role. We're not going to lie and say that it doesn't, but lifestyle is much more important in how we age. Only about 20 to 30% of aging is actually determined by genetics. The rest comes down to our environment, diet, movement, as well as stress management. Yes, while our genetics give us a blueprint, how we take care of ourselves can literally change how we age. Our lifestyle choices are far more impactful on how we age and how we live. The third myth is that aging automatically equals a decline. Not true at all. Many aspects of aging can be optimized or slowed down with the right habits. So, brain plasticity can remain strong. So, we are able to continue learning and growing well into our 70s, 80s, 90s. Our muscle can be built at any age. Strength training is going to be one of the best anti aging tools. And while it does become more challenging to build muscle as we age, it absolutely is not impossible. And the hormonal shifts that we naturally experience as women, for example, the decline of our estrogen as we age, can be balanced through our lifestyle modifications, again, stress management, and our nutrition. So aging doesn't automatically mean decline. There are 70-year-olds who are more mobile and active than 40-year-olds simply because they prioritize movement, nourishment, and stress reduction practices. So now let's be real. It looks like some people just look like they age in reverse. So when we look at people like Tracee Ellis Ross, Gabrielle Union, Halle Berry, they look younger now than they did 10, 15, some cases 20 years from now. And it's like, okay, like, is it just their skincare routine or their good genes, or what is the science behind them actually being able to thrive in their 40s, 50s, and beyond? So, aging isn't just what we see in the mirror, it's a biological process happening at the cellular level. It's influenced by everything from our hormones to metabolism to stress. And while we can't control everything, we can make choices that slow aging down and help us to feel vibrant for decades to come. So, what causes aging, and why do some people seem to age faster than others? And what does science actually say about slowing it down? So, let's get into that. Again, aging just isn't about the wrinkles or the fine lines and the gray hair. It starts at the cellular level. And one of the biggest markers of biological aging are telomeres. If you've never heard of them, they are like tiny protective caps at the end of our DNA strands. Think of them like the plastic tips on the end of a shoelace. When you wear them down, the shoelace starts to unravel. And the same thing happens to our cells when the telomeres shorten over time. Scientists have found that telomeres are often linked to higher risk of chronic disease such as heart disease, diabetes, and even Alzheimer's. And here's where it gets interesting. Some people's telomeres age faster than others, which means that they biologically age quicker regardless of what the calendar says. Research also shows that Black women often experience accelerated telomere shortening due to a unique combination of chronic stress, systemic factors, and health disparities. So, what are the things that actually cause the telomeres to shrink, and what can we do to protect them? Let's dive into that. The first thing I want to talk about is chronic stress and what we call the weathering effect. Again, studies shows that we in the US, Black women in the US, have shorter telomeres compared to white women of the same age. This is due to chronic exposure to stress, discrimination, and systemic inequities. And this phenomenon altogether is called weathering. Stress increases cortisol, which speeds up oxidative stress and inflammation, which are two of the major drivers of telomere shortening. Our bodies literally carry the burden of long term stress at a cellular level. The more we experience stress, the faster our biological clocks begin to tick. The second factor in telomere aging is going to be the racial disparities in healthcare. We experience higher rates of hypertension, heart disease, and autoimmune conditions, all of which are linked to telomere damage. Healthcare bias also leads to delayed diagnosis and less aggressive treatment, increasing stress and health risks over time. Even in pregnancy and childbirth, Black women are more likely to experience pregnancy related complications, which is also lead to telomere shortening. The third factor is the superwoman schema, which is where we're high achieving but high stress. We're often socialized to be strong Black women, pushing through challenges, taking on everything, and rarely prioritize our rest. Research shows that the constant operation in fight or flight mode triggers high cortisol levels, which is also going to accelerate aging at the cellular level. The pressure to overachieve, be resilient, and to therefore suppress our emotions adds to long term stress and impact our telomere length. While there is power and beauty in being strong, it is so important that we rest and recover because resilience isn't just about our ability to push through, it's also about our ability to nurture ourselves and protect our health. So, what can we do to protect our telomeres and to slow aging? The first thing is going to be to prioritize rest and recovery. It is absolutely non negotiable. If you grew up like me, you were taught that being restful and sleeping in and hanging out on the couch was lazy. And it's not true. It is literally biological self preservation. We often work harder, sleep less, and take fewer breaks. But research shows that things such as meditation, deep sleep, and downtime are going to help preserve our telomere length. So, I'm going to challenge you to prioritize getting at least 7 hours of sleep every single night. It's essential. The other thing that I'm going to challenge you to is to try breath work or meditation as a practice if it's not something that is part of your daily routine. We had a really great episode with Jasmine Marie, who is the founder of Black Girls Breathe, as well as the author of Black Girls Breathe. And she led us through a really great breathing practice called oceanic breathing that actually felt really, really great and restorative just on the spot to me. And that book is just great, full of insight, both scientific and anecdotal insight to help us prioritize the rest that we deserve. The other thing that we can do to protect our telomeres and slow aging is going to be to strength train and to move regularly. At this point, I mentioned like 3 times already in this episode, and that is how important it is. Exercise is one of the most powerful ways to lengthen our telomeres. Things such as strength training, so just even body weight exercises or light weights to begin with, walking and yoga are going to be so important in reducing our stress levels, inflammation, as well as cellular damage. So, if you aren't in the practice of exercising, specifically strength training, at least 2 to 3 times a week for like 20 minutes a day, I am going to challenge you to do that. And I'm actually challenging myself because I told you guys that since last fall, like I say last December, I really fell out of my gym practice and I want to get back into it. It's necessary as I've been doing research for this episode and I keep seeing the importance of strength training being hammered being drilled into me. It's super important that I don't just share this with you guys, that I also do it because I'm not a hypocrite, right? The other thing is going to be daily movement. So just walking is going to be enough to help with slowing down the telomere shortening as well as to improve cellular aging. So people often talk about having a 10,000 step a day goal. If you can do that, that's great. That's about 4 miles. If you can do that, go ahead and do it. If you are somebody who doesn't walk frequently, it's going to be really difficult for you to go from doing like 100 steps a day to doing over 10,000 steps a day. So I would say give yourself measured goals. So maybe you can start off with saying, you know what, I'm going to do 1,000 steps a day. Then next week, I'll bump that up to 2,500 steps a day and keep going until you're able to get to that 10,000 step a day, if that's even your goal. The whole idea, though, is just to move our bodies more than we typically are because a lot of us have sedentary lifestyles where we sit at the desk for the majority of our days, and we live in cities and towns where they're not walkable. So we're constantly in our cars. So figure out ways to incorporate movement in your everyday. And as I did my little shimmy, I thought about just dancing. If you like to dance and that's something that brings you some joy, do that. That's also movement. Movement does not necessarily need to be what we traditionally think about in terms of exercise. Um, Dancing, gardening, all of those things, skating, all count. And if you can incorporate those into your day, I am challenging you to do so. The other thing is that we're going to do to protect our telomeres is going to be eating very intentionally. An anti inflammatory diet that's rich in antioxidants, omega 3s, and whole foods fight telomere damage. Processed foods, excess sugar, and alcohol are all going to increase inflammation and shorten our telomeres. So, a challenge for you will be to eat more leafy greens, berries, nuts, as well as healthy fats. Fats are not the enemies. Okay. Things like avocado and vegetable oils are really, really important for nutrient absorption, as well as to cut back on processed sugars and inflammatory oils and alcohol. I love me a nice little cocktail. I do. But I realized, especially as I aged, that alcohol, I could feel the effects of alcohol for way too long. So I really cut back how much I drink. And I've tried to find other ways to take the edge off. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still working on finding the other ways to take the edge off. Once I know, I'll circle back. But again, it's gonna be important to decrease how much we drink in order to help age more gracefully at the cellular level. I would also say another thing that is going to be important is for us to build a support network and community. Social connection is protective against stress related aging. Having strong friendships and support systems helps to lower cortisol levels and helps to improve overall well being. My tip, and I've said this so many times on this podcast, is to, because I know life is so busy and we don't get a chance to talk to our friends every day, we can't leave it up to chance. We have to schedule that in. So I find it helpful to sit down and put it in my phone as a task that I am going to reach out to such and such and such and such on Mondays and Wednesdays. My challenge for you here is to create a circle of support. So, whether that means that you are regularly meeting with a therapist, or if you have some type of accountability group or some sisterhood, some circle where you have a shared interest, that is so important for your overall well being, as well as prioritizing your joy, your laughter, and your connection with others. And lastly, speak up and advocate for yourself. Studies show that yes, Black women have a higher incidence of autoimmune disease, and one of the things that is correlated with that is the fact that we hold so much in. So speak up, let it out. They say don't crash out. I'm going to tell you, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to crash out. Okay. So, but for real, advocate for yourselves in doctor's offices, workplaces, as well as daily life, because chronic health issues are often dismissed in our population. This is also going to increase stress as well as delay treatment. So, my actionable insight or my little challenge for you in this case is going to be to really track your health and ask for thorough testing. I had a conversation with Dr. Rumi at the beginning of this year. She's the author of The Busy Brain. And she has in her book really great tests that we should ask for whenever we are going to see our primary care doctor, as it relates to our thyroid health, as it relates to our other hormones that are also going to be really impactful in just our mental health and overall health. And these are tests that typically are not routine, but we can ask for them, and they usually are going to be covered by our insurance providers. So I will link that episode down below in the show notes as well. But again, ask for very thorough testing. And if your doctor is giving you pushback or feels a way about you being, um, about you self-advocating, fire them. You don't have to stick with that person, with a healthcare provider, if they're not aligned. You have so much power, much more power than you think that you do. Okay. So that would be my thought there. Now let's hop into On My Radar. And now let's talk about what is on my radar. On this segment, I discuss the people, places, and things, usually wellness related, that I'm obsessed with, and you should be too. So I mentioned to you guys that I've been doing a lot of reading. Specifically, I've been reading a lot of romance novels. And the one author that has had me in a chokehold this entire year so far has been Kennedy Ryan. Right now, I'm on my third Kennedy Ryan book, and it is called This Could Be Us. I am only a chapter in. Yeah, I'm still in the first chapter. And I have never wanted to hop into the book and handle business so badly. It's off to a really good start. What I found is that her books typically are kind of slow to begin with, and you just have to just hang with it and it'll pick up. This one has gotten straight to the business, and I want to fight somebody. But it's really, really good. It's a beautiful distraction to the mess of the world. So if you are looking for a book to read, I highly, highly recommend so far. Again, it's called This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. The other thing that is on my radar is you. You are on my radar. I really want to hear from you. So every week I come on the mic, either I'm talking to somebody or I'm talking to myself, and I'm like, I wonder what the folks who are tuning in, how they feel, what they're going through, what's on their radar, what's on their mind, their hearts, their spirits. So I want to hear from you. So I would love it if you would either send me a DM on Instagram. I am at bewellsis_podcast. I'm the one who's behind it. It's just me. So I see every single DM. If you would like, go ahead and screenshot this as you are listening and share it to your stories and tag bewellsis_podcast. So that way I can hear it, I can see it, all of those things. And I also really want to hear, I'm curious about what has been your journey been with aging. And I also want to know, what were the messages that you received growing up about aging? Because when I think about it, I don't think I really got, like, there was no discussion per se in my home or that I heard around from the women in my family about aging per se, but it did seem really negative. Like they're just like, "Oh, it sucks here. Like everything hurts." There were quite a few gynecological issues in my family, so people would just get surgeries, and like the surgeries would not be helpful. The symptoms leading to the surgeries weren't good either. Like it was just, yeah, the messaging that I received was that like, oh, it sucks over here. And so I'd love to hear what what are you learning about, or what have you learned about aging, and what are you unlearning about aging? So yes, and as if you are on YouTube, go ahead, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And lastly, go ahead and share this episode. If you found this the least bit informative or entertaining and all of those things, go ahead and share those with somebody who can benefit. So your sister, your coworker, your cousin, your neighbor, anybody. Share it, share it, share it. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining. As always, I'm so, so glad you're here. Until next time, be well, sis. Thank you for listening to this episode of Be Well, Sis. If you'd like to get in touch with us, there's a link in the show notes. Be Well, Sis is hosted by me, Dr. Cassandra Dunbar, and produced by Edit Audio. Don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. Until next time, be well, sis.